Valar Morghulis. What if Ned struck Lannisters first after Robert's death? Let's explore the possibilities that might have been. By the guttering glow of torches in King Robert Baratheon's bedchamber, Eddard Stark stood like a solemn sentinel. He watched the once mighty stag struggle for breath, every exhalation rattling with the boar's tusk wound festering in his side. Robert, once so robust that his laugh had echoed through halls of stone, now lay pallid and trembling. His broad chest rose and fell, the stink of wound and fever permeating the chamber. A hush pooled in the corners. Two maesters hovered near the bed, exchanging worried glances. Renly Baratheon waited near the door, face drawn in tension. Sir Barristan Selmy, the stalwart Kingsguard, stood by his king's side in subdued sorrow. Yet the king's glazed eyes found Ned.
Ned, write this down. You'll protect the realm until Joffrey comes of age.
His voice rasped. His once massive hand shook with effort as it tried to close around Ned's wrist. Ned felt the weight of that trust, and a deeper guilt coiled like a viper in his heart. He knew Joffrey was not Robert's son at all, but a child born of Queen Cersei and her brother Jaime. The truth had gnawed at him for days. Still, Ned dipped the quill in ink and began to write, the scratch of the quill eerily loud in the quiet room.
I, Robert of the House Baratheon, first of my name Eddard Stark, Protector of the Realm, to rule until my lawful heir takes the throne.
The final words were penned just as Robert's head sagged back. A heavy exhalation slipped past the king's lips. In that sound dwelled 1,000 regrets, unspoken truths, broken friendships, the mistakes of a lifetime. Ned stared at the stillness in Robert's face, letting the quill fall from his fingers.
He is gone.
A tremor rippled through Ned. He had lost not only his king, but a dear friend, one whose memory stretched back to the rebellion that had changed all their lives. Gently, Ned laid the parchment on the bedside table, sealing Robert's last command with a silent vow. He would honor the king's trust, but not by letting the Iron Throne pass to a false heir. Night draped the Red Keep in a cloak of uneasy hush. A pale moon clung to the sky. Beneath its silver glow, Ned met Renly in the largest courtyard of the castle, a place of worn cobblestones and flickering torches. A handful of knights stood behind Renly, their shoulders taut, hands on sword hilts.
You spoke of 100 swords, Lord Stark. I have them, waiting at the ready. Will you use them?
For days, Ned had clung to the notion of lawful succession, of revealing the truth about Joffrey's parentage and letting justice run its course. But the city was a nest of vipers. Cersei would move quickly to secure power.
Yes, I'll take them. No more half measures. Cersei cannot be allowed to claim the throne in her bastard son's name.
Then we strike tonight?
Yes, but quietly. I don't want the city bathed in blood. She'll move against me the moment she hears of Robert's final will.
The Lannisters keep watch near her quarters. We must be swift.
The wind rustled the courtyard's banners. Ned tugged his cloak tighter, the chill of night pressing upon him. Honor warred with necessity in his mind, but he forced down the qualms. With practiced stealth, Renly's loyal knights and Ned's most trusted men glided through the Red Keep's corridors. Torchlight guttered in sconces, casting dancing shapes on the stone walls. A hush so profound that each footstep sounded like thunder accompanied them. They found the first cluster of Lannister guards outside Cersei's apartments, fierce men in crimson cloaks. Ned's guards pounced, knives flashing. The Lannisters had no chance to shout an alarm. Bodies dropped to the floor, blood staining the rushes. The corridor fell silent again, broken only by the hiss of a dying torch. They forced the door. Inside, the Queen stood in a shimmering silk nightrobe, her hair disheveled from sleep. Cersei Lannister might have looked vulnerable, if not for the fury in her emerald eyes. Nearby, Joffrey, already quick to violence despite his youth, lurched for a dagger. One of Renly's knights slammed him to the floor. Joffrey let out a muffled snarl as a gag was forced into his mouth. Myrcella and Tommen cowered behind their mother, trembling tears rolling down their cheeks. Two of Ned's men stepped forward with ropes. Cersei's gaze locked on Ned like a crossbow aimed to kill.
This is treason. My father will burn you from this city. My brother Jaime...
Your father will receive no raven from you, nor will Jaime. You and your children are my prisoners. The next move is yours. If you value their lives, you will keep silent.
Cersei's nostrils flared. Her jaw trembled with hatred unspoken. She did not beg or scream. She only glared, as though memorizing Ned's face for future vengeance.
Get the children out, gently.
Two Baratheon knights escorted Myrcella and Tommen away. Joffrey, still gagged, fought like a cornered animal until another knight pinned his arms, hauling him aside. Ned remained, eyes fixed on Cersei's bound form. He saw no fear, only wrath. In that moment, Ned felt a pang of pity for the children, caught in the crossfire of sins not their own. But he steeled himself. The game had begun, and if he faltered now, his own daughters would pay the price. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you like this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 94% of you watch the videos without subscribing. Imagine what we could accomplish if everyone subscribed. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, is it done? Great, thank you so much. By first light, Ned had consolidated power. The Queen and her children were locked in well-guarded chambers. The City Watch, many loyal to the King's hand, patrolled the streets. A public announcement was made. King Robert had named Ned Stark Protector of the Realm to serve until the rightful heir was determined. In the hall of the Kingsguard, Sir Barristan Selmy received Ned's summons. The old knight approached with his head high, though sorrow weighed on his features.
You saw the king's will. You know what Robert asked of me.
Aye, my lord. I am sworn to obey the king's final commands and his chosen protector.
Then do your duty. I want no secret letters carried by Lord Baelish or Lord Varys. Hold them both in rooms under guard. No ravens, no visits without my leave.
Lord Baelish is cunning, and Varys has more spies than fleas in Flea Bottom. We'll watch them closely.
Nearby, Renly observed the exchange. When Barristan was gone, he exhaled.
Littlefinger and Varys? They're crucial to the city's balance, but more dangerous each passing hour.
We can't let them carry word to the Westerlands. Cersei is our captive, and we have her children. Tywin Lannister won't sit idle once he learns.
Let him come indeed. But I know my brother Stannis has the better claim to the throne. Still, Stannis is as warm as a winter gale.
Rightful is rightful, Lord Renly. We honor Robert's line, meaning Stannis is next. Summon your banners. War may come before we can settle the realm.
Renly gave a curt nod, though misgivings flashed in his eyes. The Stormlands would answer his call, but the realm's fate hung by a thread. Word traveled fast, carried by desperate riders braving bandits and night roads. In the stony halls of Casterly Rock, Tywin Lannister read the missives in silence. One of his messengers fidgeted, sweat beading on his forehead. Queen Cersei and her children were taken, King Robert dead, Ned Stark protector. Tywin's grip tightened on the parchment until his knuckles shone white. A hush cloaked the great hall. Even the distant roar of the sea seemed subdued by the tension pulsing in the air. Tywin rose, each movement exuding lethal calm.
Send for Jaime. Gather every banner. We march at once. Spare no expense securing our passage. Gold for provisions, bribes, sellswords, whatever it takes.
His bannermen bowed, murmuring acknowledgements. Tywin's gaze was as hard as the rock itself. Many had seen that look before, right before he destroyed House Rain. A calm Tywin Lannister was more terrifying than any roaring warlord. He would not rest until his daughter and grandchildren were freed, and the Stark who dared defy him lay broken at his feet. Back in King's Landing, Ned's newfound grip on power felt tenuous. He held the Queen, but thousands of small folk resented the state of uncertainty. The city watch walked the streets, gold cloaks shining in the sun. But the mood was somber. Shops shuttered. Rumours flew like crows. Tywin would come, and he would come in force. At midday, Sir Barristan brought word. Varys and Littlefinger chafed under watch. Both demanded audiences. Their tongues, Ned suspected, could tie him in knots. He refused to see them for now, ordering the guards to remain vigilant. On the ramparts, Ned and Renly scanned the horizon. The city's walls bristled with archers, siege defences prepared in haste.
It won't be enough if Tywin arrives with his full strength.
We have hostages. That might force him to negotiate. But if pride rules him, he'll storm the gates.
Pray Stannis comes quickly with the fleet from Dragonstone and the Stormland Lords. Otherwise we'll be left in ruin.
Yet by the week's end, the dusty roads outside the city darkened with columns of Lannister soldiers. Bright crimson banners fluttered in the wind. Jaime Lannister led the first contingent, forging a ring of steel around King's Landing. Then more poured in, thousands upon thousands. At last, the Gold Lion of Tywin arrived. Siege engines took form, catapults, rams, tall ladders. The city gates sealed, trembling with the hush of apprehension within. The assault began under the cover of darkness, typical Lannister cunning. A heavy battering ram smashed against the city's main gate. Archers on the walls loosed volley after volley, arrows hissing down into the mass of red and gold. Siege ladders clattered against stone. From Ned's vantage atop the battlements, he saw Jaime, clad in gilded plate, cutting through defenders with deadly skill. Streaks of flame lit the night. Some Lannister men hurled torches into the narrow alleys, setting rooftops ablaze. Screams tore through the gloom. Renly led a desperate defense, sending his knights along the walls to hurl ladders and boiling oil down at the attackers. Ned prayed the city's defenses would hold.
Archers, target their siege crew.
A stream of arrows soared into the darkness. Sparks flew as scorpions on the ramparts launched bolts, skewering clusters of men. Yet the Lannisters pressed onward. Ned's heart pounded. Where was Stannis? The ram struck again, boom, and again, each collision jarring the city's defenders. On the sixth strike, the gates split with a wrenching shriek. Lannister foot soldiers poured into King's Landing. Within moments, the streets devolved into chaos, men slashing, women screaming from windows, small folk scrambling for safety. Orange flames licked at shutters and stalls. Ned's men fought valiantly, but they were outnumbered.
My lord, the outer gates have fallen. We must pull back to the Red Keep.
Ned's jaw clenched. The strategic retreat might be their only chance, but it meant abandoning much of the city to ruin.
Fall back. Hold the inner walls. We pray dawn brings us a miracle.
The battle raged through the night. At the first grey hint of dawn, a resonant horn shattered the morning silence. Low, thunderous, not the shrill blast of Lannister trumpets. Ned whipped his gaze eastward, blood pounding in his ears. Beyond the rising sun, banners flew, the crowned stag on a field of gold. Stannis Baratheon had arrived. He brought a formidable host, Stormland knights, Dragonstone men-at-arms, and mercenaries lured by Baratheon gold. At Stannis' side galloped lords of lesser houses sworn to the Stormlands. Among them, Ned glimpsed the fiery red robes of Melisandre, her presence a whisper of sorcery. The watchers on the walls cried out in hope. The Lannisters, caught between the city and a new threat, scrambled to form ranks against this fresh onslaught. Stannis' cavalry thundered into Tywin's flank. Screams tore the smoky dawn. The clang of steel on steel reverberated across the muddy fields. Rows of Lannister spearmen buckled under the sudden charge.
Now, strike from within.
A ragged cheer went up among King's Landing's defenders. They surged forward, rallying behind Ned, Renly, and Sir Barristan. Lannister soldiers, trapped in the city streets, found themselves assaulted from both front and rear. The slaughter was grim. Columns of red cloaks collapsed into disarray. Somewhere in the midst of swirling carnage, Tywin Lannister fought to maintain order. His presence alone stiffened many a wavering soldier's spine. Crisp commands leapt from his tongue. Under the sprawl of battered siege weapons, with smoke drifting across the battlefield, Tywin's gold armor gleamed coldly. But then Stannis himself charged in. He wore black plate with the flaming heart of his personal sigil. A hush fell in that pocket of war as the two men locked eyes.
You dare claim the throne?
By all the laws of gods and men, I am the rightful heir.
Their swords clashed, bright sparks showering the dawn. Tywin moved with a surprising fluidity for his age, while Stannis' strokes carried the force of raw conviction. Lannister men circled, but so did Baratheon knights. Within moments, Stannis found an opening. His blade, rumoured to be touched by Melisandre's magic, struck Tywin's breastplate with a flare of light. The metal parted. A collective gasp rippled through the fighting. Tywin's face twisted in a mixture of rage and shock as blood stained his golden armor. He collapsed to his knees, fingers reaching for a sword hilt that slipped from his grasp.
Jaime.
The word left his lips on a dying breath. The Lion of Casterly Rock toppled, eyes glazing, never to rise again. Not far away, Jaime Lannister saw his father fall. A raw cry tore from his throat. Rage overtook him. He hacked through the nearest ranks of Baratheon men, forging a desperate path towards Stannis. For an instant, it appeared Jaime's skill might claim vengeance on the new king. But then Sir Barristan Selmy, with 5 other Kingsguard, rushed in. Jaime fought like a madman, swirling sword arcs that took down 2 men. Yet he was cornered, forced to parry from all sides.
Yield, Sir Jaime.
Jaime spat, refusing. A final thrust from Selmy pierced the Kingslayer's chest. Jaime sank with unseeing eyes, defiance written on his features even in death. With Tywin and Jaime gone, the Lannister host lost heart. Some attempted to retreat. Others threw down arms and begged quarter. The battered gold cloaks loyal to Ned pressed forward, cheering. Stannis' victory cry echoed across the red-stained fields outside King's Landing. In the aftermath, Stannis Baratheon rode through the ruined gates of King's Landing, triumphant but not rejoicing. Corpses littered the roads, buildings smouldered. The small folk peered from alleys with fear. Ned Stark and Renly walked beside Stannis' stallion until the group reached the Red Keep's Great Hall, where the Iron Throne loomed.
Your Grace, the realm is yours by right of succession. Robert's final will named me protector only until the lawful heir could claim the throne, and that heir is you.
Stannis dismounted, boots echoing on the scorched marble floor.
Where is the Queen Mother and her spawn?
Ned rose, meeting Stannis' chilly stare.
Cersei and her children are in the dungeons guarded. Joffrey, Myrcella, Tommen, none can threaten you now.
Stannis' mouth tightened.
Bring them out. I would see them punished. They are a threat to my reign.
A flicker of fatherly compassion stirred in Ned's eyes.
Your Grace, they are children. Joffrey is cruel, but Myrcella and Tommen are blameless. For Robert's sake, show mercy. We can make them wards, hold them to ensure no rebellion. Please do not spill children's blood.
Stannis' jaw worked in anger. Yet he paused. By his side stood Melisandre, red robes swirling. Her eyes reflected the flames of the torches. She placed a hand on Stannis' arm, as though sensing the swirl of possibilities. After a tense moment, Stannis exhaled harshly.
Very well. I will spare them. I name you, Ned Stark, their guardian. Take them north or wherever you see fit. If any of them stir rebellion, I'll punish them and you for the treason.
Peace, if one could call it that, settled over the Red Keep for only a few short days. Soldiers cleaned corpses from the streets, hammered new gates into place. Small folk emerged cautiously, desperate for normalcy. But behind locked doors, Peter Baelish, even under guard, plotted. He passed coded notes via bribed guards, forging new ambitions. The words House Tyrell floated in rumour, along with speculation that Margaery Tyrell might wed a Baratheon to consolidate power. Renly Baratheon, restless and overshadowed by his stern elder brother, felt the Tyrell lure tugging at him. If Stannis happened to fail or fall ill, the Tyrells might back Renly's claim. Littlefinger encouraged such whispers. A younger, more charming Baratheon king might suit the reach. Ned, meanwhile, forced all his will on upholding order, ignorant of the conspiracies swirling in the shadows. Then came Stannis' coronation in the Great Hall. It was a subdued affair, no grand feasts, no joyous songs. The lords who bent the knee did so warily, aware that they had weathered one bloody storm only to land in the eye of another. Stannis wore a new crown of antlers and rubies, and Melisandre stood at his side. Ser Davos, Seaworth, knelt below, having served Stannis faithfully at sea. Ned watched from a dais near Ser Barristan and Renly. Throughout the ceremony, Stannis' sharp gaze roamed. He could see mistrust in every corner. The gold cloaks loyal to Ned. The Stormland Knights who still remembered Robert's warmth and found Stannis distant. He saw Renly shuffle, eyes flicking anxiously. He saw Baelish's calculating stare. When the ceremony ended, Stannis beckoned some of his personal guard and conferred quietly. That same night, soldiers marched into Renly's chambers. They found hidden letters sealed with the sigil of House Tyrell. Promises of alliances, subtle hints that Renly might soon challenge the crown if support from Highgarden arrived. Accusations of treason soared through the corridors.
Renly Baratheon, you are my blood, yet you conspired to steal the throne from me.
It was only contingency. House Tyrell...
Stannis' expression hardened like granite.
Silence. You are given a choice, the wall or the flames. I'll not let you roam free to raise banners against me.
Renly's lips twitched. He looked around at the ring of swords pointed at him. Pride warred with survival. Finally, his shoulders slumped.
I'll take the black.
Then be gone. By sunrise, I want you escorted to the King's Road.
Melisandre's soft whisper echoed the final verdict. The Lord of Light spares those with purpose. Ned Stark, for his part, prepared to depart south for a short time, then ultimately north. Under guard, he would escort Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen, the former royal children, to a life of wardship. Sansa and Arya, newly reunited with their father, remained close to him. Sansa glanced at Joffrey with a swirl of conflicting emotions. Fear, leftover infatuation, relief. Arya scowled each time she saw him. Joffrey's eyes burned with bitter rage at his fall from princely power, but Tommen and Myrcella clung to each other, frightened and confused, too young to fully grasp what they had lost. In the Red Keep's courtyard, Ser Barristan said a quiet farewell.
I've served many kings. Let us hope King Stannis will be just, though I see storms in his eyes.
Ned inclined his head.
The realm has endured madness before, will endure again.
Meanwhile, Varys and Baelish remained weaving webs. Littlefinger, outraged by Ned's restrictions but cunning as ever, waited for a chance to shift the balance. Varys, murmuring about the realm's good, watched Stannis' harsh rule with growing concern. Rumors trickled in from the east. Daenerys Targaryen, last scion of the Old Dynasty, rumored to have dragons. Far in the north, watchers on the wall sent ravens about uneasy stirrings beyond the ice. The old gods of winter might soon stir as well. Stannis Baratheon perched on the Iron Throne, crown heavy on his brow, weighed down by the memory of his brother Robert and the knowledge that half the kingdom still doubted him. Melisandre whispered that darkness threatened from beyond the seas and from beyond death. Stannis' thin patience for intrigue dimmed the Red Keep's atmosphere. Lords who once chattered in the corridors now walked softly. And so it was that a single stroke at midnight, capturing the Queen and her children, changed the game. Robert Baratheon's final breath had catapulted Eddard Stark into a moment of swift, dangerous action. Tywin and Jaime fell, the lion left broken. But at what cost? Winter was still coming, and a realm never rests easy under a new crown, especially one worn by a king who wins battles, but not hearts. As the battered city nursed its wounds, crows circled above the blackened walls, and the lords whispered, Renly Baratheon was banished to the wall. Cersei languished in a cell, stripped of power. The Lannisters reeled like a wounded beast. Stannis held the throne, but not the love of the people. Ned returned north with hostages, his duty only half finished. Peace, however temporary, settled like a thin snow over the capital. Yet in Westeros, the difference between peace and war is as thin as a raven's parchment. Rumors from beyond the narrow sea whispered of dragons stirring. The Iron Islands might rise again in rebellion, and in the vast emptiness beyond the wall, an ancient cold threat awoke under swirling winds. The future shimmered with both hope and doom. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this what-if scenario, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more alternate takes on your favorite Game of Thrones moments. Let us know your thoughts and predictions in the comments below. Valar Morghulis.